If you are not engaging buyers right now, you are losing because incumbents have the advantage. That's just the truth. They have established relationships, they have proven track record with the agency, and they have insider knowledge of the upcoming rebids. They have won the contracts, they know what they have to do. And if you're honest with yourself, you have to realize that those incumbents have the advantage. Now, how do we position ourselves to be competitive? And how do we go from being reactive to being proactive and start actually competing with these incumbents and having an advantage over them? The hard truth is by the time the RFP hits SAM.gov, the game is often already over for a lot of contracts. Experienced contracts know this. They start their business development 12 to 18 months before the solicitation drops. And they leverage their relationships to shape their requirements and build momentum long before you even know the opportunity exists. But here's what I'm here to share with you is that you can actually do this too. The strategies that work for incumbents and large primes are available for you as well. And if you're willing to act now, then you can have the same competitive advantage. I want you to shift your mindset. And I've mentioned this with forecast. Today, we're going to look at awards data, but the mindset is the same. The losing strategy is being reactive and waiting for opportunities to land on SAM.gov. If you're engaging late, you're meeting buyers after the requirements are set, submitting proposals without building a relationship with the buyer or the agency, you're chasing contracts that you have no realistic chance of winning. That's a losing strategy. We've actually recently been talking to government contracting agencies, and they told us that SAM.gov, it's just too late for people and small businesses to win contracts once they land on SAM.gov. Usually it's a long process that requires 12 to 16 months, but we are releasing these opportunities within 2 months, and they actually wanted to work with us to see how they can show this data earlier on to small businesses. And I'm here to share the winning strategy with you. We want to have proactive intelligence. We want to find who buys what we sell before the RFP drops, meaning we want to find who are our customers. And we want to position ourselves in a way that allows us to build relationships 12 to 18 months ahead of the opportunity. And with that, we want to understand our competition and their contract cycle. And finally, we want to focus our energy on winnable opportunities for our business that we are positioned very well to actually win. You are not looking for open opportunities, and that's the beauty and the difficulty of business development in government contracting. You are building intelligence on who buys what you sell, who wins these contracts, and how much they spend. The shift in thinking separates contractors who win from those who wonder why they keep losing. Now, there are 4 questions you should ask yourself and your business development strategy should answer. And these are very critical and important questions. And I can guarantee you most government contractors do not do this. And I also can guarantee you that the successful ones definitely have the answers for all of these questions. Number 1 is, who are my top buyers? We say buyers, but these are your customers. And these are the people that you should know by name and have developed relationship with. So what we want to do is we want to identify specific agencies, offices, and program managers who consistently spend money in our domain. Not every federal agency is a good fit for us. We want to focus on the customers who demonstrate buying patterns that match our capabilities. So that's the first question we have to answer. And I'm obviously going to show you all of this during the training today. The second question is, who are my top competition? Knowing the prime contractors that are dominating your space allows you to study their win rate, contract vehicle, and teaming strategy. These competitors could potentially be your partners as well. And these could also be your competition and the incumbents that you have to displace. So knowing who is in your space could help you identify partners and also develop a business strategy that would set you apart from your competition. Now, once we find our top competition, we want to find their partners. Who in the ecosystem is their subcontractors and small business partners that they're working with? These relationships reveal teaming opportunities for you and show you which small business successfully navigate the federal market. So not only we want to find the top competition, we also want to find who they are subcontracting to. So potentially we could be their subcontractor, or we could develop some sort of a relationship with the prime or the subcontractor. Now, another important question is, when are these contracts expiring? Because we are talking about active contracts, money that was spent by the government to businesses in your space. So we want to get the timing correctly, because timing is everything. And contracts that are expiring within the next 6 to 12 months, they represent your best opportunities for strategic engagement. We want to start building relationships now before the RFP drops and while requirements are still being shaped, which gets us to our solution, which is mastering award data. It's our intelligence goldmine. And this strategy is being implemented by every successful federal government contractor. And that's a guarantee, because spending data is your competitive advantage. It allows you to find buyers, analyze their spending patterns, and map competitor landscapes. And so you can time your outreach and dedicate your efforts towards only winning opportunities for your business. So we want to get that government spending data and map it to get contract award data, agency details, the contractor name, the award amount, the performance period, and which contract vehicle it was on. This data reveals the entire federal procurement ecosystem, who's buying, who's winning, and when opportunities will arise. So this way we know when an opportunity will land on SAM.gov 12 to 18 months before it lands there. Most contractors, unfortunately, ignore this resource or use it superficially. But those who master it gain an unfair advantage in federal business development. So how do we implement this strategy? Well, one is we want to identify a few key things. And by now, you should have most of this data. One is NAICS codes. You need to know your NAICS codes and identify your top main 3 NAICS codes, the ones that represent your highest margin, best fit work. We don't want to go after everything. We want to be very specific on what exactly we work in. So we don't want to cast a wide net. And honestly, NAICS codes, in most cases, they actually are a wide net. So we want to be as specific as possible with identifying our NAICS codes. Now, the second thing, and this one is more specific, which is the product service code. So if you have a product service code, you should also identify your top 2, top 3. And since it's more granular, we're going to be able to identify slam dunk opportunities using this codes. And finally, when NAICS codes and PSC codes fail us, we want to rely on keywords. So these include specific technology terms or niche-specific terminology that would only apply to your business. For example, if you are in computer software development, that's just too broad. But if you specifically focus on AI or machine learning, then that could be a potential keyword that identify what your business focuses on. Once we have these codes and keywords, what we want to do is we want to set the time period for the past 12 months. So we want to see current buying activity and trends. We want to see what has happened in the past 12 months. And I'm going to show you this in detail. Only want to look at contracts, so not grants, not loans, not any other instrument, because we are looking for procurement opportunities and not funding programs. And finally, we want to choose a recipient type that aligns with the set aside we have. So if we're a small business, we're going to try and go after small business opportunities because we want to see similar sized competitors, what they are winning, and try and capture those government contracts. And finally, which I'm going to show you, is we want to target specific agencies, and I'm going to show you exactly how we're going to do that. Now, once we have that data, once we click on submit, we want to get those results and start looking for patterns. Which agencies award the most contracts? Which contractors are winning repeatedly in my space? What's the typical contract size and duration? Is it 1 year? Is it 2 years? Is it 5 years? Is it 1 million, 2 million? I need to identify this information because I will use it to plan my business development process for the next year and a half. We want to capture agency name, contractor information, the award amounts, start and end dates, and the contract vehicle if any of the contract vehicle information is available. I'm going to use that information to develop my relationship development process. So I want to develop relationships with agencies and also with prime and subcontractors. Once I've identified my target buyer, I want to prioritize targeting those agencies that spend in my field. I want to research deeper, identify who are the high value buyers, research their mission, their plans for the upcoming year, and their pain points. I then want to build a contact list of people that I want to reach out to develop a relationship with. For example, if a U.S. Army Contracting Command at this specific region buys an $80 million per year in my NAICS code, that's now your target for relationship building and capability briefing. We want to get in contact with this buyer because it's specifically in our NAICS code. And on the other hand, we want to develop a competitor/teaming partner relationship. So we want to identify the top businesses that are winning in our specific space. These are players that are dominating the market. We want to study their website, past performances, and contract vehicle. We then are going to analyze their vehicles because many task orders, they flow through these vehicles. And if you can subcontract under them, you bypass the open competition entirely. So you don't have to place a bid. You don't have to do any of that. You can just subcontract through these primes. Then we want to study their teams. We want to look at these partners and see who are they subcontracting to? Who are they working with? Which small businesses do they consistently team up with? These relationships, they reveal teaming strategies and potential partner prospects for you. And finally, we want to decide which competitors you'll challenge directly and which one you'll approach for subcontracting or teaming opportunities. Now, it's all about timing. So we want to time our outreach for maximum impact. And what I like to follow is the 12 months rule. When a contract period of performance ends within 6 to 12 months, the agency is likely planning to the rebid and they're opening up competition again. This is your window. Why this matters? Because at that time, requirements are being drafted and budgets are being allocated and program managers are assessing current vendor performance and considering alternatives. So if you wait until the RFP drops, you're too late. The incumbent has been shaping requirements for months. Decision makers have already formed opinions about who should win. So here's the plan. 12 months out, we want to build awareness, attend industry days, and request capability briefing, establish credibility. Now, 6 to 12 months out, we want to deepen our relationships, share ideas, demonstrate understanding of agency challenges and needs, and then we want to position our solution. Now, 3 to 6 months out, we are offering it's our final positioning. We are confirming teaming arrangements. So we have developed relationships with other businesses, other primes or subcontractors, and we are preparing a proposal approach. We're staying engaged with the program office. And finally, when the RFP drops, you have your relationships ready. You have the intelligence, you have the pre-positioned team, and you're competing to win, not just to respond. So let's actually show you how I would do this. So you could utilize any platform you want to go after understanding these award data, but what I like to use is SAM search. So head to the awards section, and then what we want to do is we're going to utilize the filters and the search on here to go after keywords, NAICS codes, and product service codes that are relevant to our business. So first in the award category, we want to unselect grants because that's not something we are going after. We could utilize the keyword part. So what I'd like to use, for example, I want to go with a specific keyword. So for example, in my business, it would be machine learning. Now with that, I'm going to see a lot of contracts that could be relevant to what I do. But I'm going to have a look at these contracts later. What I'm more interested in seeing who actually buys what I sell. So I head to the analytics section and I see that the top agency for machine learning is actually the Department of Defense. But that's not enough for me because the Department of Defense is large and huge, and this doesn't give me enough information about who I should target. What I'd like to get information more of is the sub-agency. So as you can see here that the Department of Army, Air Force, and departmental offices, these are the ones that are spending north of $100 million a year on machine learning. Now, what I have to do then is gather the information of these. So all of these would be potentially my target audience because these people are the ones that are buying my services. And this is very specific. It's my keyword, which is machine learning. Now, if you have a set aside, for example, your 8A small business, let's actually do that and filter by that. Now the picture is a lot different. So you see that the top agencies are the Department of Interior. It's no longer the Department of Defense. And here we have the sub agencies. The departmental offices is now number one. So it's really important to use these filters on the side. So we're talking about set aside, place of performance if that's relevant. In my case, it would not be because I don't care about the location for machine learning. You could also here identify the recipient or buyer agency, but if you're trying to get analytics on who buys your service, then you shouldn't care about this. If you have a specific amount that you target, for example, like $1 million and above, then you should set the minimum to be that. And obviously the contract pricing type, if you only go after fixed price contracts, labor hours, or reimbursement contracts, then you could do that as well. And finally, the competition, if you want it to be open for recompete, and that means that these contracts will be open in the future. So these are gold mine for you to go after them because these would be opportunities for you. But when we're looking about analytics, that doesn't really factor in. Now, finally, you could also look at date range because if we're getting data from like 1999, that's not going to be relevant. We want to look at stuff that's recent. As I mentioned, past 12 months, maybe maximum 3-4 years. That's what's really relevant as far as making educated guesses on who your customer would be. But getting back to this, I want to get this data. These would be my top 5 customers, or actually 6. These are the sub-agencies that I want to target, and I want to find their contact information to talk to them. What I would do is get that, put it in a document, because then we're going to try and find program managers and decision makers at those sub-agencies. Now, when it comes to competition, I could scroll to the top recipients and see which companies are winning machine learning government contracts that are 8A. These could be potentially my partners or my competitors. So I need to make a list of them and learn more about them. Now, what's also important is I would like to see how the spending is happening. Now we're filtering by A, but let's actually remove that because we want to get pattern of spending for machine learning in general. So I could see that there has been a huge increase in spending for machine learning since 2017. And as of late, it's been really upward spending. So a lot more agencies and there's a lot of government spending going into machine learning. Obviously, as of late, it hasn't been because of the government shutdown. Maybe there's a downward trend, but it's still too early on in the future, Q2 2026. But I'm seeing an upward trend, so that's a good sign for me. And now I have the top recipients, which could be my potential partners or sub-agencies. Now, the same one I did with the keywords, you're going to have to, as I mentioned, you want the top 3 keywords. You want to do the same and gather that information because by the end, we're going to have around 12 potential customers. So now we did machine learning. Possibly you could go into artificial intelligence. You might find different data. And you can then go even broader. And we're going to go after, for example, NAICS codes. This would give you a general idea. It wouldn't be as specific as the keyword. But let's say, for example, our NAICS code would be 541512. So computer system design services. Now, these kind of align with what I've seen for machine learning, but the sub-agencies are different. So I could also utilize that to add them to my potential agency or buyer list. I'm going to use that information in a bit. And same with the top recipients. I want to gather that information. If there's things in common, that's fine. I want to make a list of the top 10 or 25 buyers. That's all I care about. And same with the recipients. Now, once we have that, we can actually head back to the results. And we want to see things that are relevant to what we do. So if you have a specific amount range, let's say between like $1 million and $5 million range, then you should set the amount. And as you can see now, we're only looking at awards that are within that range. The second thing is we want to set a date range. So for example, if you want things that are only in the past and upcoming 12 months, by the way, this filters by action. So if any action happens within that time period, it tracks it. So it's not just the performance start date and end date. We want to see any action, funding that's happening, transactions that are happening, and we want to go after them. So I could see, for example, this one is in 2024, December. This one is going to end soon. If they have a recompete on this and this aligns with what I do, I could potentially reach out to that agency and see if they want to open up this for competition. Again, I could add this to my funnel. That's very important because this is my business development strategy. I now understand my buyers. I could filter by them and I could see if they have any upcoming contracts that are expiring. This is the key thing that I'm trying to kind of use here to develop business. Now, same for this one, for example. This one is September 28, 2025. So this one just recently ended. There's a high possibility that I could find this up on SAM.gov very, very soon. Now, with each one of these, let's actually open this one. We will get an idea on the financial progress, so how much was paid, the obligated amount, how much the award was for. In this case, they paid everything, and the amount was 1.7 million. I could also get an idea that when was the solicitation released, when it was given, and then when the performance started, so I could see there's no delay in between that. I could get more information about this. So it's for developing machine learning algorithm that fuse collected data from the advanced collector Navy with the engagement capability for testing and evaluation. Sounds like something my company could be doing. I also here have the company name. So this is the company that won this contract. I have their contact information. So I have their phone, I have their email, and I have their certification. This is a great opportunity for me to reach out to them and develop partnership with them. I have the NAICS code. This is my NAICS code that I specialize in. And then I could see also here the transactions. So how much was paid and at what time. Now, with more complicated, when we talked about seeing the prime, this is a smaller contract. So we wouldn't be able to see like subcontracting data, or we wouldn't see a lot of transactions. As you can see, it was just one transaction to actually develop the machine learning algorithm. But for example, in this contract, you can see that the contract was awarded in 2021, but the performance start date is in 2028. So, and when I scroll down, I could see that here there's a lot of transactions, and I could see sub-award data. This is important. These are the companies that are being subcontracting on this contract. So I could also see if my company could be one of these, for example. If I could work with any of these companies, if we could be the ones subcontracting, so I could develop a relationship with the sub and also with the prime. So that also data that you could use. Now, if you exhaust the award data, obviously, also one more thing I forgot is that we also want, if you see something similar to what you do, you want to get the information of the agency and the sub-agency. So this, for example, is the Department of Defense and Department of Air Force. This one is the Department of Defense, Department of the Navy. You could then utilize the small business specialist search to get a small business specialist at the Department of Navy. As you can see, all of these people you could reach out to start developing a relationship. And if you want as well, you could utilize the forecast. It's the same exact process, which is figuring out which contracts will be awarded in the future. So in my case, if I search for machine learning, I could see that there are contracts in the future. This one will be released, for example, early next year. And it's also for integrating AI into system engineering. So it's also for machine learning. This one was in 2025, so it passed, but this one is in Q4 2026. It's also AI platform and integrated data information environment. So I could also utilize that. So now I have two sources of information that are building my pipeline for the next 12 to 16 months. Finally, once I have information on a contract and I know it's recompete, I could then utilize the partnership search to find businesses that I would work with. So for example, as I've mentioned, my NAICS code is 541512, and I want partners that have experience in that space, that have worked with the government and have, for example, the 8A set aside. Now, I have a list of all of these companies that I could go through and add to my CRM and start developing a relationship with. So I want you to take action today. I want you to block 2 hours this week and go to any spending data platform you want, whether you use SAM Search or not. And I want you to set up your keywords, your filters, and try and go through this data. I want you to identify your top 10 target buyers and map out your top competition/partners. And then I want you to find 3 contracts that are expiring in the next 12 months that are relevant to what your business is in. Then we want to draft and schedule an outreach campaign that helps us develop relationships with our buyers and our partners. So I hope this was helpful. If you want to get access to SAM Search, I'll leave a link in the first comment. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.